Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 3 of Christmas in September. And today we're going to make another card using the brand new Christmas quilt bundle. This is the stamp set, and today we're going to use the piece and the quilt outline and the striped and the polka dot designs to go in the quilt. And the bundle comes with 15 dies, and we're going to use the spool, the needle, and these two nesting quilt squares. And they have all these other ones here. It has a triangle that you can stitch around. It has a little star, little flower, a couple holly. This is, I used it the other day as a tree trunk, and we have some flowers. And then this is the one that we used the other day for just making a quilt. I have it right here. This one here without stamping. I am going to be honest with you. Well, first let me tell you that if you purchase this as a bundle, you get it at a 10% discount. Now I'm going to tell you. This is a little trying because you do need to be precise in your stamping. Fortunately, the stamps are photopolymer, so that helps a bit. But I would strongly suggest that this is one of those that you use your Stampin' for. And also, they're very non-traditional Christmas colors because I didn't want to go with the Christmas theme. I wanted it just to be a holiday theme. And the sentiment I chose, peace, is non-denominational, and I thought in this day and where we are these days in the world, this would be very appropriate. And my theme here was to sow some peace. So might sound corny, but that's where I was going with this. So this card, it comes out nice, and it is a little frustrating because you do need to make sure you stamp inside the lines. You can see right here I was off a bit, but that doesn't bother me too much. So you could use your Stampin' I tried my Stampin' on this, and I found that it worked because it's a great tool, but I found that I was more comfortable doing it just making sure I was standing up and looking right down at it. So let me get started, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat, and I have a piece of Whisper White. This is just big enough to fit my quilting star. I think it's like 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. But you don't have to cut your paper down. And we're going to ink that up with Garden Green because you want to use a dark color for your background. And I'm just going to come in and stamp that. Now, because this is a photopolymer stamp, I do want to get that cleaned. Oh, excuse me 1 second. All right. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to, with my, I always want to call this key lime, my lemon lime twist. I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp up the polka dotted design. And I'm going to stand up so that I'm looking right down on my project. I'm going to see where this fits, and it fits right inside this block. And I'm going to line up my points, and I'm going to slowly come, this is the most frustrating part, slowly come down, and almost perfect. This one is off just a bit, but I'm okay with that. And I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to skip, see how they go across? I'm going to skip this one, and now I'm going to go into this one, again with my lemon lime twist. And I'm going to stand right over it, I'm going to hover over it, and I'm going to come down, and press. And almost, just pretty much perfect. Now I'm going to come in and do the same thing with Soft Sky. This time I'm going to ink up the stripes. And again, I'm going to stand over it and I'll line it up. And I'm going to come straight down. Okay, almost perfect on that one, but again, doesn't bother me because it's a quilt. And I'm going to come in and do the same thing again. There we go. Now, if you're uncomfortable doing that, I would suggest that you do use your Stampin' But sometimes the Stampin' if you just slightly move it, you don't feel that it's been moved. So it doesn't come out perfect anyway. But it's a great tool, and I do use it all the time. Anyway, with that said, now I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. And I'm going to line this up. This is going to cut my quilt out. And I'm also going to put this in it. This does not cut. This just embosses. So it's going to go right in there. And when it comes out, it's going to look like my quilt is stitched. So hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, and here we have it. Now I'm going to take my framelits off. And when this comes off, isn't that cool? It's all stitched. If you turn it over, you can really see where how the stitching is. And that is just so beautiful. So then I'm going to put that on my paper. And that is, again, this is a piece of paper from the Trim the Tree stack. Because like I said, I'm trying to get rid of all of my my paper. And I guess I forgot to tell you what I was using for paper. So I have my Designer Series paper, 3 3/4 by 5. I have a piece of Whisper White, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then my card base is, again, key lime twist, lemon lime twist, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. Now I'm going to show you something I did. I did not have a piece of this Designer Series paper that was long enough, but I had a little scrap. So what I did was I taped it together in the back. I pieced it together. Now because I'm going to put this decoration over it, that's not going to show. This is going to fit right over that, and you'll never know that I had to piece that together. So that's an idea, something to keep in the back of your mind when you're making a card and your paper is just a tiny bit too small. That if it's behind something, you can piece it together. But anyway, back to the card. I'm going to attach my quilt in the center of my card. Okay. Now I'm going to attach this to my white. And I'm just using some snail, nothing heavy duty needed. Center that up. And then I'm going to attach that to my card base. Almost done. Now all we need to do is make this piece here. No pun intended. This is, like I said, piece from the stamp set, and I've embossed it with gold embossing powder. And then I die cut this little spool and this needle. They come with the framelits that go with this bundle. This is in crumb cake, and this is just a sliver of the silver foil. That's why I tell you, never ever throw away your foil, no matter how small the pieces are, because that's tiny. Then I didn't have any gold metallic thread, but I did have this gold embroidery floss because I do some cross stitching. So that's what I used. So first I'm going to emboss the piece. I'm going to bring in a piece of scratch white to catch my powder. I'm going to take out my embossing buddy and get all the static off of that. And I'm going to ink my stamp up with some Versamark. And again, this is a photopolymer stamp, so I want to have my pierce mat underneath. Alright, now I'm going to sprinkle my gold embossing powder. Okay, I'll just put this back in my jar before I spill it. And it looks pretty good. I do see a little bit that I'm just going to try to take off with my brush here. I'm going to bring in my embossing tool. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to mount that on a little piece of lemon lime twist. See, I almost said key lime. I don't even like key lime. I don't know why I keep saying that. And there we go. Now we have to die cut these. I'm going to run this through a little piece of crumb cake and this through gold foil. I'll be right back. Okay, and here they are. This is a little bit of a frustrating part because it's a task trying to keep the glue off of everything in and around that little needle. But before I get that far, I want to I'm going to attach this to my card. And see here, that's where I sliced, I taped my cards to get my papers together. And when I put this down, you're never going to see it. So now I have my embroidery floss. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thread my needle. And even though it's a paper needle, threads beautifully. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to hold it down with my tweezers. I'm going to bring in my silicone pad. And with my fine tip glue, I'm going to put a little bit of glue. You want to be careful. You want enough to keep it secure, but you don't want too much that it's going to make a mess. And then we're going to attach that right after the E to make it look like I just finished embroidering that letter. Okay? And hold it down, and there it is. Now I'm going to cut a bit more off. Oh, I don't know, about 10 inches or so. And then I'm going to take my little spool here and I'm going to put a little bit of snail on the back of it so that it holds my floss while I wrap. And I want to wrap, I'm going to go up a little higher. I'm going to wrap this all the way around. Okay. And I want to have a little bit of a loop here. I don't want it to be too, I don't know why this one is sticking out. Let me just cut this one off. Okay, so to keep that down, I'm going to use 2 mini dimensionals. Okay, this is the front. So I'm going to put one right on the bottom and another one right on the top. And I'm going to take the covers off. So now I'm going to position this right about there. Now with my fine tip glue again, I'm going to just put a dot right here, a little bubble, and I'm going to press this down on it, and that will keep that there. Now I want to keep this piece intact as well, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue, put this down, push that down, and then come in with my scissors and snip that off as well. And there we have it. I just cap my glue so it doesn't dry out. This fine tip glue is a great adhesive. It works really well. But capping it sometimes is trying because you're fitting a tiny little needle in a tiny little hole. So the sooner you cap it after you've used it, the better off it'll be. Now you'll notice that my cap here is blue. That's because the original one that came with this from Stampin' Up, I think it's brown or black, I clogged my tip and I was trying to unclog it and I pierced the plastic. So I was able to find these on Amazon, so I didn't have to buy a whole new package of jar of glue, excuse me. All I had to do was replace that, so that worked out well. But anyway, it's a great adhesive. It works super great, and it works like a charm, trying to get little things glued down. Like you never would have been able to do that with Tombow or something. So anyway, I digress. Here is the card that's all made. I really like it. I think it came out great. It's not your typical Christmas colors, like I said, because I do want to be able to send it to those who are just celebrating the holidays and not specifically Christmas. It would be good for a New Year's card as well. And like I said, in this day and what's going on in our world, I think peace is appropriate for absolutely anybody, because that is what we're all striving for, is peace in our world. So this is a perfect sentiment. So I hope you enjoyed this card, and if you have any questions at all about how it was made, or if you would like to consider me as your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd be very happy to do that for you. You can contact me through my blog at www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. You'll find a tab to contact me, as well as a tab to subscribe to my newsletter, and also a tab to shop in my Stampin' Up! Store. I would encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter. I do send one out once a week, and sometimes if I don't get to a YouTube video of my projects, I do just put them on my blog. And when I send out my newsletter, I do a recap with links to all of the week's projects. I'm also going to start some giveaways for people who are subscribed to my newsletter. Excuse me. The giveaways will be advertised via email. So the only way to get an email from me is to subscribe to my newsletter. So I hope you will do that. Tomorrow we'll be starting a new stamp set. I believe I'm doing the Smitten Mitten tomorrow. So come on back for day 4 of Christmas in September. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.